yet. 2 minutes. Hello, hello. Hey, everybody. Hello,
Welcome. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Come on in the room. Come on in.
Hello, everybody. We don't know where you are, but it is turtleneck time. It is turtleneck time.
It's cold in the ATM.
And her scarf, I got my scarf, which is my turtleneck, because it's cold out here on these streets. So we don't know where you are, but you know how we start. We want you to rep your city, honey.
Come on in, everybody. Come on in. It's so good to see everybody. Tasia, Carmelita, Tanel. Hello, everybody. Hello, come on. Hello. To see everybody. It's day 3. It's day 3. Yes. For those of you who have been joining us this week, it's been amazing. Monday, we talked about purpose, Dr. Nicole, right?
Purpose and calling, for sure.
Purpose and calling. And just, how do we recognize what the Lord is doing, and that purpose is a series of assignments, right? If you miss Monday and Tuesday, you can get it on our YouTube live. On YouTube. Ariana's going to drop the link in the chat for you all, so you can find it while you're there. Please there it is. Thank you, Ariana. Like and subscribe. And check out the Yummy Podcast, right?
If you all have not heard of the Yummy Podcast, you need to check it out.
Yes.
Most meaningful yet. You need to check out the podcast. Some amazing guests, some amazing conversations, enlightening conversations, right? To really help us to move forward, to level up, to leave the things in the rearview mirror that need to be left in the rearview mirror, and to be able to, just recognize that there's a path that's being created for us with all of these conversations, all of these enlightening moments, all of these community building activations. There is a path being built for you to be able to get to your next easier, with greater confidence, with more, or should I say less baggage?
Less baggage. Right.
So that we can travel light. And the Yummy Podcast is one of the things that's going to help you all to do that. Not to mention, we just hilarious.
And we have some amazing guests. Yeah, we did purpose on Monday with your own spirit. And we had the amazing Reverend Dr. Pastor Casey, the notorious RDK, who really shared with us the importance of self-compassion. Speaking kindly to ourselves. If you haven't noticed, we're building you all. We are giving you the building blocks for living your ultimate, most meaningful yet. And we want to welcome all the new people joining. Y'all are coming on in. I see Judy, I see Bridget, I see Shan, Cerise, Christina, Shalonda, Taya. Welcome, ladies. Welcome, Kanisha, Tanel. Tell your friends. Come on in, like and share.
Ariana sent some text out for us to our communities as well, so that they know to be here, because it's lunchtime, y'all, and sometimes we just get behind. So we see you coming in. We are letting you in as fast as possible, because we don't want you to miss a thing. So again, we talked about mindset. Where's your mindset? How is that affecting your ability to see your purpose, to move in purpose and on purpose? Then we talked about that self-compassion again, and how to help you shift, right? How to help you shift so the lens that you're using It's helping to clear things up. I don't know about you all, but listen, I wear glasses, Crystal wears glasses. The funny thing is, the glasses help me to see edges. It helps me to see things more clearly. But if my glasses are dirty,
and mine stay dirty,
right?
Lord.
If they're dirty, it limits again what I can see. So it's being able to clear those things out that are limiting beliefs, that are keeping us bound, because freedom is where it's at. And what we say in our tribe, free women, free women. Did you get that? I'm gonna let that sit in your spirit.
Somebody might need to type that in the chat
for a second. Free women, free women.
Yes.
Right? And we are seeking to not be bound, but to be liberated, so that we can move in appropriate activation and action, and then experience acceleration to be able to move as quickly as possible. Folks say that math ain't mathing. I love it when the math is not mathing with God.
Yeah,
I do. Because that means multiplication in ways
Chanel.
that I cannot even imagine.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So I'm cool if the math is not mathing, but God is at the wheel, right? Because I want to accelerate. Put a 1 in the chat if in this season you're like, absolutely, I want acceleration. I don't need to stop at every single fork in the road. I want God to exponentially accelerate me. And I said this to somebody the other night. Don't laugh at me, and those on YouTube do not talk about me. I was talking to LaWanda Gandy in Altamont Springs, Florida, and her husband were cracking up because I said, but it ain't no fun if the homies can't get them some. They were hollering because that's from a rap. And what do I mean by that? If we're accelerating, but we don't have community, we just sitting there by ourselves,
Exactly,
looking at ourselves, what fun is that?
And you know, as the old saying goes, and it is so true, right? It's not what you know always, it's who you know. And being in connection with the right people is a game changer.
Absolutely.
It is an absolute game changer. Put a 2 in the chat if sometimes you look around your circle and you might be the highest in the class. You know, that means they all look to you for support and answers. I see you, Laquan. I see you, Tanel, right? They all count on you to solve a problem. When something happens, they looking at Kanisha, they're looking at Aaron like, what we gonna do? Right? So it is so important for us, those of you who put those 2s in the chat, it's important to be in a circle of people who can do for you what you do for everybody else. That's what our programs are about, bringing together like-minded, amazing women to build community and support. And when you join our community, you don't just get me and Dr. Nicole, you get amazing coaches like Coach Pastor Casey, who you met yesterday, and Coach Sandy, who you guys will meet tomorrow. Coach Sandy's going to bless us tomorrow with some self-care. Woo, Jesus.
It's going to make all the difference.
Don't
underestimate it, because the self-care conversation is not about the spa. Now, mind you, I love the spa.
Yes.
I love when they rub.
Wait, y'all,
like,
let me. She don't love the spa like I love the spa.
No, I love the spa. Like you love the spa. I do.
Listen, let me tell y'all something. I just came back from Cape Town, South Africa. And put a 3 in the chat if you've ever been to Cape Town, South Africa. If you've ever been to South Africa. Oh, I don't see no 3s. So let me hip y'all on something. The conversion rate of the US dollar to the rand is 18-1.
Praise him.
Okay. Casey's been there. Okay. The conversion rate is 18-1. I went to the spa in Cape Town, y'all, and I got a 5-hour massage for less than $200. Shalonda just cracking up. $5, y'all. I got a massage. I got a facial. I got a scrub. I got my nails done. Let me tell you who was in heaven.
And I'm not, and here's the power, right? I'm not gonna be jealous, because when you in the room with folk who know stuff, then you can get under the underflow, or the overflow, and get in the blessing, and make sure when I go back, I gotta get my 5 hours.
You gotta get, listen,
that's on
the agenda.
That it's got to happen.
I walked out like
it's got to happen. So listen, we gotta have fun, y'all. We gotta have fun because life is life. And
yeah, put a 4 in the chat if life is life for you right now.
Life is life, but we will not be defeated. Can we just say that?
I see you, Kelly. I see you, Tanel. I see you,
right?
Terica.
It's okay. It's okay. The way we respond to it when we are in a limited space is different than the way we respond when we're in a liberated space.
Absolutely.
Trust us on that.
Yeah.
So today,
before we start today, where are y'all joining from today?
Yeah, rep your city.
Rep your city in the chat. We need to know where y'all coming from. We got some new faces I haven't seen, I don't think, this week. Yeah. ATL, hey, that's where we are. Mobile,
okay. Mobile,
LA. Is that Lower Alabama or is that Los Angeles?
No, that's Los Angeles. That's Los Angeles. That's Los Angeles. Maryland.
Maryland, Chicago,
Beaufort. Love it.
Long Beach.
Text your girls. Tell them come on in the room. It doesn't matter that they weren't here on day 1 and day 2. We want them here as well. Long Beach, we see you.
Okay, Cerritos, we see Maryland.
Love it.
And listen, Ariana's gonna drop in the chat for those of you who came in a little late. You can watch all the recordings from this week on our YouTube live. Thank you, Ari. Girl, you're so efficient. I love you.
On it.
Y'all can click that, and that's where you will see all of the other conversations, Mondays and Tuesdays, and today's will be there as well. And while you're there, like, subscribe, follow, check out the Yummy Podcast.
And share.
Mm-hmm.
So one question, we're just going to take a minute or two. Put in the chat something yummy that you got from the first 2 days of the challenge. Keep it short and sweet. Something yummy that you got. This is your ultimate, most meaningful yet. We are not playing with this thing. No longer mediocre. No longer just okay. No longer filling our plates full of stuff. And we're like, well, where am I?
Yeah.
On my own list. And is any of this stuff healthy or is it really just familiar? I call it comfortable, but it's not really that comfortable.
LaQuanda said, be nicer to myself. Yes, Lord. I have to be an amazing friend to myself, Nicole. Yes. Tanel, finding my purpose and being compassionate to myself. Oh, I am my best friend. Stop emotionally abusing me. Yes, Renata. Kelly, stop talking down to myself when I would never do that to others. Chanel, be nice to my family. Give myself grace. I'm sorry, be nice to myself. Give myself grace. Speak nicer to myself. Yes.
Change the focus and heart.
Change the focus.
I have to be compassionate to me. We love it. We love it. So today, we're going to talk about something that we often have a little fear about the bottom dropping out on things that are good in our lives, right? Anybody identify with that? Put a 2 in the chat. If it's going too good, I'm like, okay, when is the bottom going to drop out? Now, one of the areas that we have this conversation with often is our relationships.
Yeah.
Right? Relationships, because we often don't create the building blocks necessary for the relationships to really have the best opportunity to flourish. We want to stay in the honeymoon phase. And then the minute it moves into reality, some of us look at that as the bottom falling out because it's not the honeymoon anymore.
Well, so y'all type in the chat, why do you think we want to stay in the honeymoon phase? What do we want?
Put in the chat.
What do we want?
Why do we want to stay in that phase? Security.
Comfort.
Euphoria.
Ooh, Shalonda, you're right. Yes.
You want it to feel
it feels so good. Remain happy. Yeah. We get comfortable. It's that warm and fuzzy. Yes.
Yeah. All of that stuff, right? But what we know is there are some things foundationally, the mask is still on, right? there are some things foundationally that may make us at times feel uncomfortable because our mind is set on number 6. So what's number 6? Number 6 might be, if I'm authentic and I build with boundaries, people won't want to be in a relationship with me because boundaries are hard. They're not desirable. Maybe they'll refuse my boundary.
Put a 1 in the chat if you have some challenges with boundaries. With your family, it's hard for you to say no. Even at work, it might be hard for you to say no. Put a 1 in the chat with your children. Ooh. My 3-year-old granddaughter has been with us most of this week. And boy, I tell you, I love that little child with all my heart. My daughter says she don't know who I am. Y'all know grandparents change. But when we're setting boundaries, it's really hard. Whereas with my kids, I have no problem. But that grandbaby, she go, Gigi, I love you. And that just...
And then she climb all on top of her. And again, her daughter is like, who are you? Who snatched you up in the vortex? Because I don't know why all of this is happening. But put a 1 if you have challenges with boundaries with others. Boundaries even with yourself, right? That clarity of what I value, what I will, what I won't do, what's a breach. Isn't it interesting that boundaries are a challenge, but they are a gateway to successful relationships?
Well, let's ask them, what does boundaries mean? What are boundaries? Type it in the chat what you think boundaries mean.
Great question.
What
does it mean to you?
What does it mean to have boundaries? And those of you on YouTube Live, feel free to type in the chat. We're watching you too.
You're overstepping in my personal space. So to have boundaries is identifying personal space.
Okay, limits to what, Carmelita? Come on, y'all, type in.
Well, if you don't mind me speaking, and I can't type fast enough, I'm over here panicking. So I think it's just whatever you designate what your bound. If it's the food that you eat, the places that you go, the time you go to bed, how you like to be communicated with. I think boundaries can be applied in any scenario.
It means that we've outlined agreements for how to move and operate within a relationship. What I need for me to operate is what Kelly said. Shalonda said, outlined agreements for how to move and operate. Chanel said, setting my standards on what I will and will not tolerate.
What if we told you that boundaries are the rules to be in successful relationship with me? Boundaries are the rules to be in successful relationship with me. Because oftentimes we think boundaries are to keep people out, to set limits, to set, what did you say, setting standards, all those things, right? Protect my personal space. What if we shifted to believe boundaries are how you have a successful, healthy relationship with me? I want to be in relationship with others. This is how we have a healthy relationship.
They're keys. They're guides. They're not barriers. They're not walls. Write that down. They're keys. They're guides. They're not barriers, and they're not walls.
Now, I saw some of you lived in Atlanta, right? In Atlanta, 285 goes all the way around the city. I-285. You can get on I-285 and go all the way around Atlanta over and over and over again.
Run out of gas.
Till you run out of gas. And when I first moved to Atlanta, I did that because I got lost. And I was like, wait a minute, I think I saw that exit. Exit before.
Right.
Kept going. wait a minute, it was going in a circle. So it goes all the way around Atlanta, right? Now on I-285, just like on some of the highways in your where you live, there are solid lines, there's dotted lines, there's retainer walls, there are speed limits, and there are exit signs, right? Those are all keys to be healthy
in navigating
I-285. Does that make sense? The boundaries. They are the boundaries for being able to operate on I-285 in a healthy manner. Some parts of I-285, the speed limit is 75. Other parts of I-285, the speed limit is 55. Right? So that's how we need to look at it. And they've designed it. There are actuaries and there are people that spend a whole lot of time determining what those keys and guidelines are to keep people healthy on 285 so they don't crash and die. Okay? And that's how we need to look at that when we build boundaries and create boundaries in relationship with others. Here are the keys to be in successful, healthy relationship with me. There are some solid line issues that you cannot cross. There are some dotted line issues that it's safe to cross over. There's a retaining wall that says don't go over on the other side because they're going in the other direction, and that's a sure crash, right? And then there's exits where it's safe to exit.
How many of you put a 2 in the chat if historically for you boundaries have been walls and barriers so that you don't get hurt, deceived, or betrayed?
Ooh, I see them.
Put a 2. Thank you. Put a 2. Let's be transparent. That's what they've been, to protect me from you and from poor behavior. And here's what we've learned in doing this work and supporting so many women and having such an amazing community is that the walls don't necessarily keep people out. They actually attract people who like to scale walls because they see it, they feel it, and they say,
Predators.
Let me see. It can't be that high. With the right equipment and a little bit of consistency, I can get over that wall. So we've recognized we want people to be successful in relationship with us. If you're trying to have a relationship with me and I'm trying to have a relationship with you, work relationship, business, entrepreneurial relationship, romantic relationship, familial relationship, all of the relationships, I want you to be able to be in successful relationship with me, which would mean the same way we talk about being best friends to ourselves first, because that energy attracts people to us that treat us the way we treat ourselves. It's the same lens that we want to use to look at boundaries. When you are in relationship, how challenging is it for you on a scale of 1 to 10 to share with people boundaries so that they are guided in how to be in successful relationship with you? On a scale of 1 to 10.
Type it in the chat.
Type it in the chat. How difficult is it to share with people boundaries?
10 is the hardest.
10 is the hardest. It's just hard. 6, 7, 7. Yes, 7. 10. Yes.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you, Terica, Nicole. Thank you, Carmelita. So here's what we don't understand. If I don't let you know the speed limit is 70, because remember how Crystal talked about the actuaries doing the research to say We can only have so many on the freeway going this amount before there is a problem. Crash, inappropriate lane changes, all of that at 70. Over 70, not good. 70 is a sweet spot. If we don't let people know how to be successful with us, they do what they are used to doing.
And what good is a speed limit and dotted lines and solid lines if we don't enforce them, right? So if the police never sat on 285 strategically located, right? Mm-hmm. How fast you think people would go? Because they already, if the speed limit in Atlanta is 55, mm-hmm. Even with the police sitting out there, folks gonna go 85. Right. They just go, right? But when they see those police, they slow it down. But if the police never sat out there strategically, right? How often do you think people would speed on 285, would cross that solid line when they're not supposed to? I've seen people come all the way from the left lane, where it's the HOV lane, all the way to the exit, just cut all the way across. Right? People, and that is an example of some of the people in our lives. Mm-hmm. There are some people, put a 1 in the chat if you got some people in your life that sometimes take advantage of your highway. Mm-hmm. They don't respect the signs. They don't respect the rules, right? So how do the police handle that? First of all, if they pull you over and you're speeding and you're going 15 miles over the speed limit, which is the general rule here, right? 15 miles, over, they may give you a warning and say, listen, slow your tail down. Slow down. If I see you on this highway going 85 miles per hour again, you're getting a ticket. If they're having a good day, you might get a warning. If they're having a bad day, or if they just feel like enforcing the rules, you're going to get a ticket. And if you keep doing it enough, you accumulate enough tickets, guess what they do? Revoke your license. Yeah. Because you don't know how to follow the rules. What would it look like for you to enforce the same way in your relationships? You communicate with signs, mm-hmm. right? You notify people with a warning when you see that they're not good at obeying the rules. If they continue, you give them a ticket or a timeout, whatever is required. And if they continually violate your rules, you revoke their license and they need to exit.
Now, I know some of you are probably sitting here saying, oh my gosh, how am I gonna do this? It's gonna be hard. It's gonna bring conflict. I might lose some people. Let's shift. Let's shift the paradigm. Remember, we talked on Monday about minds being set in a certain space. And when you're set in that space, the thought of shifting creates a lot of anxiety. But I want you to put a 2 in the chat. Think about this. If not having boundaries is already costing you, put a 2 in the chat.
I see you.
It's already costing you.
And after you put your 2, I see you, Tasia, will run right over you. After you put your 2, put in it what does it cost you? What does not having boundaries cost you? I see you, Aaron. What does not having boundaries cost? Peace of mind, time, my sanity. Yes. What else?
And often we've made the argument that it costs more to have boundaries than to not have boundaries. And we are here to tell you, with all the goodness that we can share it with, that is a lie. It is a lie that we've all made up in different ways. It's a narrative we've all made up in different ways. because we're seeing the cost, self-respect, identity, my time and energy, loss of my identity, freedom, other beneficial relationships.
Ooh, that's a good one too. Right? Ooh,
so
yes.
Not having the boundaries is causing the chaos.
Because that one is so good. I need to expound on that a little bit. The other beneficial relationships. Because some of us are allowing other people to drive so recklessly on our highway that people who are obeying the rules say, this is not safe for me. Oh, put a 1 in the chat if that hit home. This is not safe for me because I want to be in relationship with you, but you letting them do donuts on the highway and I don't feel safe. They might hit me. They might hurt me. I don't feel safe in this space. You letting your children do whatever.
You let them spin for sport. Most times you spin on the freeway when something crazy has happened. Another car's hit you, there's bad weather, something crazy has happened and your car is spinning. And they're looking and they're like, no. You got cars that spin on your freeway for sport.
Ooh, or you letting that job control you. You working all these long hours and your family, the people who are in relationship with you and who love you are like, this is not beneficial to me. I don't feel safe. You letting them run you and I don't feel like there's enough time for me, enough value for me. Ooh, that other beneficial relationships, Kelly, that's
yummy.
Serious.
That's yummy. Because let's look at it. So, we're all smart, right? So we always want to test things like, I hear what you're saying, but I don't know. Let us imagine what 285 would look like. Straight up. No signs, no speed limit, no lanes. Put in the chat what you think your hometown freeway would look like. Just put it in the chat. If it had no signs, no lines, and no speed limit, what would your hometown freeway look like?
Extremely chaotic. Chaos, a hot mess.
Dangerous, reckless, total catastrophe.
Ooh.
Okay. So we do the wiggle, right? We take the mask off. We put it down just for our time in here, for kicks and giggles. Here is the reality. How many of you have experienced some of what was just put in the chat? If you're honest, nobody's looking. It's just us girls. How many of you have experienced those things in your relationships?
Ooh, put a 1 in the chat.
Put a 1 in the chat because you didn't set any guidance.
Yeah.
There just was no guidance, right? Now, here's the thing. The good news is you in the right place.
Yeah.
You with the right tribe.
Yeah.
Because it is not too late to have success in the relationships that you want to have success in. It's not too late.
It's not too late.
What we know for sure is if you don't have signs, you don't have speed limits, you don't have lines on the freeway today, and you come tomorrow and you still don't have them, the chaos, the danger, the craziness continues and it gets worse. Why does it get worse? Because from the chaos yesterday, we now have wreckage, right?
Cars stacked on top of cars.
Cars on top of cars, metal, glass, injured people, right? All over the place. So somebody's got to say, hey, it may take us a second to shut it down.
Have to shut down the highway and clean off the mess.
Shut it down for a second. Just like when it snows like crazy, we got to shut it down for a second. We got to clean the debris. We got to put some signs. We got to put some lines. And we got to put some enforcement. Not force, but enforcement. Look at the difference. How many of you put a 2 in the chat if you've ever heard people say, watch your speed, because they always got a cop over here.
Or you drive with Waze and it says cop up ahead.
Right? Put it too. Isn't that real? It's like, girl, once you get over here by Cumberland Mall, over here they always got, right? So what starts to happen is good news starts to travel fast, y'all. Good news travels fast. Where your son says to your daughter, hey, you notice something different with mom?
Mm-hmm.
No, what you talking about? Oh no, the other day we had a conversation and she said to me, you know, son, I believe in you. Mm-hmm. And I believe your word is integrous. So I'm going to let you handle that. And I'm going to stay over here and watch you be successful at that over there. Because I know with integrity and effort, you can do it. Has she had a stupid conversation like that with you?
What's going on?
What's going on? And then the daughter says, wait a minute. Hold tight, bro. You know, she did something like that with me. That word starts to travel fast.
And people start saying, oh, you might want to stay in your lane.
Yeah.
Stay in your lane.
Yeah. Walk your own dog.
She don't do that no more. She don't play that no more. Stay in your lane.
Right. And they're like, she wasn't, and you know, well, was she mad when she said it? No. I don't know.
It's a new sheriff in town.
It's a new, right? So what starts to happen is because people don't want to collide, they start to self-police.
And let me just pause right here for the note takers. Nothing changes until you change.
Please write that down. And please put some
exclamation point. Nothing changes until you change. Oftentimes we wait on other people to figure out how they need to drive on our freeway. To acknowledge and see us and say, this doesn't, I probably shouldn't be doing donuts on this highway. That might not be safe. I probably should stay in my lane right now. I probably should slow down a little bit. We expect them to kind of figure it out. But nothing changes until you change. Until you put those signs up, until you start some enforcement, nothing changes. But when you change, they have no choice but to change.
Now, how many of you are sitting there and you just looking at Crystal saying, but you don't know my people? Crystal, Dr. Nicole, we hear you.
Put a 3 in the chat if that's what you like.
But you don't know my people. Here's the funny thing. Put a 3 in the chat if you like. That's what I was saying. Here's the blessing. We don't know your people, but we know you. And you know who else knows you? Your people. Your people know you. They've learned your pattern. If your pattern is, I don't want conflict. If your pattern is, I avoid. If your pattern is, I always say yes. If your pattern is, I gotta prove every single time that I'm a good friend. If your pattern is, I'll hide before I let you see the truth. They know your pattern. So often we don't want to admit it, but they're following the instruction that we've given from our behaviors.
That's called the negotiated agreement. How many of you know that you have an unwritten agreement with everybody you're in relationship with?
Put a 2 in the chat if you like.
Yes, you have an unwritten agreement with everyone that you are in relationship with. Yes, Kelly. Yes, Tanel. What that means is our agreement is when we begin a relationship, the agreement usually goes like this: I won't hurt you, you won't hurt me. That's the basics. I won't hurt you, you won't hurt me. And what happens is over time, we teach people what that means. we talked yesterday about self-compassion, right? If you're not compassionate with yourself, if you're talking to yourself with the wrong tone and delivery, you teach other people it's okay to treat me that way. It's okay to not respect my boundaries. If you see me allowing other people to do donuts on my highway and I don't do anything about it, what I am in effect teaching you is it's okay to do donuts on my highway.
And this is a practice, you all. So for even some of you who are in our tribe, who are in here and you have been working and you have been seeing the progress and we've been talking about your progress, this is also your opportunity to put some little notes of what have been the benefits. Because there are benefits in being able to have a negotiated agreement that also speaks to what you need.
Mm-hmm.
There are like
what are some of the benefits?
benefits?
Put it in the chat for those of you who've been with us for a while, or those of you who understand and have been implementing boundaries. What have been some of those benefits for you? Peace. Yes, Nicole.
Yes, Nicole. Peace. Yes. Yes. Peace.
No drama. Yes. Chanel. Peace. Joy. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Healthier relationships. Yes. Clarity.
Ooh,
those are good.
Yes.
Teaching our daughters the next generation. Yes. It's so many benefits. Ease. Because there are so many benefits when we give people an opportunity to be in successful, healthy relationship with us.
Stress.
And for some of us, what's required at this point is renegotiating those agreements. Put a 1 in the chat if you just realize for the first time, oh, I've set up some negotiated agreements that might need renegotiating.
It's time.
Yes, Tanel. I see you, Tage. I see you, Kelly. Yes. I see you, Chanel. Yes. Kanisha. I've got some agreements. I didn't realize there were agreements because we just been kind of on autopilot, or I've known them all my life, or they're my mom, or they're my children, or my brother, or my sister,
or my boss.
I didn't realize that we had a negotiated agreement, but now I do.
So number one, you have negotiated agreements with everybody that you're in a relationship with. You even have if you live in Atlanta, you have a negotiated agreement with the city of Atlanta when you're on Atlanta Freeway, with the city with Cobb County when you're on a Cobb County freeway. It's a negotiated agreement because they've given you some boundaries, right? And if you don't adhere to those boundaries, at times there are consequences. So we want you to think about today something that's truly yummy. We want you to think about your agreements. Think about some of those people that cause you stress. You love them, or you need them, or they're necessary, but they cause you stress. And think about some of the relationships where you're like, that's my girl. That's my dude. That's my honey. I got the best boss in the world.
I got the best friend in the world.
I got the best clients. If you look at them, what we promise you is if you look at the lists, one versus the other, one of the things that makes the stressful list stressful is you are in a negotiated agreement that you either thought you weren't negotiating, or it's been screaming to be renegotiated, but you're too fearful of what may happen if you do.
And that's usually because you feel like you don't have any power. You have abdicated your power to somebody else. You don't feel like you're in a position of power with that boss, with that child, right? You have fear for what will happen when I renegotiate this agreement. I see Chanel says she currently renegotiating as we speak. That's what I'm talking about. The kids grew up and we need to renegotiate. Yes, Asia, that is the truth, because now there's a shift happening. They're now adults, right? And you want them to stand on their own 2 feet. So now we need to renegotiate the agreement. I love that. Tanel said that part. Kelly, I need to hear from you because you said sometimes I renegotiate without them knowing. What is that?
Oh, I love that.
You do that, Miss Kelly. Come through. Unmute yourself.
Hey, Kelly.
That means I don't even have to tell them. I'm just moving.
You've shifted.
I've shifted. I don't even have to say nothing or bring it to their attention, but it's just like, okay, I see what's going on. I'm moving.
Yes.
I love that.
That's good because that goes into what we talk about in the tribe, Kelly. We laugh and we like, when I move, you move.
Just like that.
Right?
Say it one more time.
When I move, you move.
Just like that. Yes.
Right? So because I've shifted, it's like being in a room that has chairs and a conference table. Once you sit in a chair, it determines what other chairs are available where other people can sit. Because you just use your power to choose a seat
and occupy that space.
Occupy that space. Now, unless somebody's going to pull your chair out with you in it, try to sit on top of you and get beat up, they're going to look at the room and they're going to renegotiate in their mind what's available. Does that make sense, Kelly?
Yes.
Yeah, Kelly said, oh, I ain't even talked to all of them, Dr. Nicole and Crystal. Some of them, I just shifted.
And they have no choice.
And they had no choice but to shift. Now, here's the thing. When people really love you and they care about your vessel being in the relationship with their vessel, they'll adapt.
Now, let's pause right here. It's 12:46. We need to hear your questions, ahas, takeaways. Raise your hand or unmute yourself. And let's hear ahas from the first part, takeaways or questions. Come on in.
We want to hear from you. This is our time.
This your time. Unmute yourself. What are your ahas? Like, oh, I never thought about it like that. Some of the notes in your takeaways. Come on, unmute yourself.
I'll go ahead and jump in.
Come on, Carmelita. Yes.
So I really like the analogy with the highway. I know all about that crazy 285 and how you can go in circles and in circles and in circles. And quite honestly, I feel like that was one of the best because when I don't set boundaries and when I'm not aware, self-aware, that's exactly what I'm doing is going in a circle. So I appreciated, that enlightenment and that comparison and to also know that the boundaries aren't limits, they're keys. I think that's an important transition to, important word.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. Who else? Thank you, Carmelita. Who else?
I'll speak.
Hi,
hey, Janelle. Come on in.
Hey, how are y'all? How everybody?
Great. How are you?
I'm pretty good. So one for me, just like she just said, the highway and then the speed limit. I know for me, I don't set the boundaries for especially my family. It's pretty much whatever, whenever. So they don't understand when I redirect them, like, hey, this is not what we doing here. They get upset because they're not used to me giving them my boundaries. And that goes for my husband, my sister, and my kids, especially my daughter. They get very upset when I have the boundaries around. And now I'm realizing that I do need to set these boundaries at all times to keep my peace. Because when you don't have that, you're so stressed out and not be stressed out all the time because of the boundaries. So thank you so much for that. That just had me to really look and reinforce these boundaries.
Yeah. I love that, Tanel. And you also touched on a very important thing, consistency. Consistency with our boundaries. When we all of a sudden shift and everybody else is like, what in the What's going on, right? They don't know how to act, like Dr. Nicole said, like with the conference table. If I sit in this seat today, everybody is like, oh, okay, well, let me get my seat. But tomorrow they come in, I'm in another seat. They're like, oh, well, I thought I was going to sit here, but now she's sitting here. Okay, let me readjust. It causes chaos, right? If we establish I'm at the head of this table, and every time we come together, I'm going to be at the head of the table, it lets everybody else know it's okay to be in your space, right? So consistency is so key. Thank you, Tanel. That is a great point.
And we are not always in a space of defending ourselves when it comes to our boundaries, right? So one of the things we have the right to do is, first of all, give ourselves permission to have them, and give others permission to respond the way they choose to respond without fighting them, because it's our boundary, right? We were coaching some women, and we were coaching them in the space of dating. And we were talking about how do you manage yourself when you are dating someone or someone who says, I'm just dating for fun. I don't want any commitment. I'm just trying to get to know people. But you decide you still want to date that person. How do you date them? And they were like, well, I don't want to not be available when they call. We're like, so they get Saturday night? They get Friday nights consistently? How does that work? You don't have a commitment. You're not building and creating something for the future, but you give them
prime time
on the calendar. And then if they stand you up, you are so upset because you gave your Saturday night.
I could have been doing
honey, open up a Tuesday for that. Have a boundary. If somebody says on a Tuesday night, oh, I can't come for 7 o'clock, and it's 6.
You're like, thank Lord, I can go to bed early tonight.
You do something different, right? But that's a boundary. That's a self boundary that says, love to get to know you. We're dating, so I'm collecting data, but I have some boundaries. And some of those boundaries are my prime time goes to people that pour into me, that I already know what our connection and commitment is. That's my boundary, right? So that I don't have to be upset if you want prime time on a Saturday night, but I've only been out with you once. I don't even know if you know how to be integrous and show up when you say you're going to show up, right? So again, these negotiated agreements, we talk about them in our community. We're helping women practice how to do it without being upset, how to do it without being upset at everybody's responses to our boundaries, how to do it with a level of confidence and ease, because the intention is not to make everybody miserable. The intention is for us not to be miserable.
Yes, yes.
The intention is for us to have success together in how we relate to one another.
Absolutely. Yes, and you have some ahas, takeaways, questions. It's your opportunity.
This is Kelly.
Come on in.
It's our time,
yourself.
y'all. It's our time in here together. Let us.
Hey, Kelly.
The one about nothing changes until I change, that hit me. And it kind of took me back to the example you used about 285, because when I first moved to Georgia, I realized that they have these digital speed limit signs. I never saw that before. So when the traffic gets congested, they lower the speed limit. So it looks like now, instead of everybody going 40 and a 60, they reduced it down to 40. So it looks like I'm going 40 and a 40. My whole mentality is different. I'm not wondering what's going on. Is there an accident? Why these people can't drive? Why you on the road? Because I'm literally going the speed limit that's established, but they lowered it. So listen, hearing that example and then thinking about, you said, when I change, things will change. It's the mentality.
Oh, I love that example.
So good.
love that example,
It's so good.
Kelly, because what the state of Georgia has said is when it gets too congested or there's too much going on in space, we have too much on our plate already, and we're still taking on more. It's too many people on our highway already, and then we get that phone call, I need you to do XYZ, and we don't know how to say no.
When we talk about helping you practice authenticity in our tribe, it's a real thing. The women that have been in our tribe being able to say, I see benefits to the relationships that I've been in forever that I've never seen. I've been out of the honeymoon phase, and I've been trying to just figure out how to survive. And now I'm in thrive mode.
Yeah.
I'm in thrive mode because I want them to be successful with me.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to be on my freeway and feel like this is the safest freeway they could ever be on. But I want them to also know the rules of engagement, right? So Kelly, when you talk about that sign that tells you to slow down, how many of us appreciate knowing?
Put a 1 in the chat.
Put a 1 in the chat. I'm like, oh, okay, now I know what's happening. Now I know why I'm slow down. It's the same how we relate to other.
Do y'all realize that's all a relationship is? How we relate to one another.
Yeah.
That's the root of relationship. How we relate. And if we don't know the rules of how to relate, then how can we be successful? Carmelita said, wow.
We use real big words, like we said in day one, mindset. It's a big word, mindset, but really it's talking about where is your mind set? Where is your mind set? I'm set that my kids are just going to not respect that as an adult, and them as an adult, we have to have boundaries that give us the opportunity to relate to one another successfully.
Boundaries.
They're different than when they were 5. They're different than when they were 15. They're different than when they were 20, right?
Yeah.
So if they're still living in the house, the rules of engagement are different than when they were 5. If they're now 21, 23, they should be. We're now collaborating in a very different way. But if we don't show the sign and give the guidance, they will breach all the time because they're doing what they're used to doing, and we've shifted.
Tasia said you have to pay attention and respect the signs. Amen to that. Yes, indeed.
Any other ahas, put it in the chat. We want to hear you. If you're like, I got to say this, we want to hear you.
What's your takeaway?
Yes.
Ahas, takeaways, questions. We got 3 minutes, y'all. Come on through. Feel free to unmute yourself.
This is our time in here together. We want to use it to the best of our ability. Who's got a hand to raise?
Everybody's quiet this morning.
Let me
this afternoon. Oh, let's see. My takeaway, Bridget said, my takeaway is be your best friend first. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Be your own best friend first.
Can I call on somebody? Can I call on somebody for the next 2 minutes? Can I call on somebody real quick? Nicole Fields. What has been the benefit of now doing boundaries and having some time to practice in our tribe? Take yourself off mute.
I'm off mute. Good afternoon.
She's like,
no, I love it. I love it. I'm excited. Oh, wow. The benefits of boundaries.
Yeah.
You realize that you are the creator or co-creator of your own peace.
I love
setting the boundary.
Say that. Somebody type that in the chat because that's a takeaway. You say that one more time.
You don't even need to say anything else. That was so yummy.
Say that one more time.
You realize you are the co-creator of your own peace by implementing and executing on boundaries. implementing and executing boundaries.
That's a word. Ooh,
Yeah.
thank you, Casey. That is a
And
word
we talk
right
about
there.
co-creation all the time because we don't realize it's a co.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
think it's a they and a them.
Mhm.
It's a co-creation. So the good thing is when we change where we are, what we co-create is different.
Ooh. Mm.
It's so
Woo!
good.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much. That was a word right there. That was a
Welcome.
word. So, ladies, it is 1:00. Hanging in here with us on day 3 of the Yummy Challenge. For those of you who joined late, the recordings are all on see each day. And join us tomorrow. We have our amazing coach Sandy joining us tomorrow. We're going to talk about self-care. We are so excited. So we love y'all. Have an amazing day.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.